Hey guys, Mitchell here, Mitchell in Minnesota. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to, well, first I'm going to check in, and then I would like to talk about some weight stuff, and then just kind of talk about a couple things that I want to talk about. Maybe I should call it like Mitchell's Moments or something. So, welcome. Hello, my friends. I hope your day is going good. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out, I apologize that the lighting is not good. I didn't have my thing, whatever that is, the little light that goes behind. But hello, today is Saturday, January 14th, 2023. I hope that you had a fantastic and safe Friday the 13th yesterday. Good. If you're here, you're listening, you're alive, that's great. So, I think part of my check-ins, I really want it to be in that, like, I talk about the check-ins, but also I just, in life, like, let's talk about things too. Like, you guys come up with such amazing videos and such amazing things, and I can see how awesome you guys are doing at things. So I want to discuss things that I'm passionate about and just kind of get it off my chest, because I go on Twitter and I'm like, oh my gosh, speaking of Twitter, until it destroys itself or whatever it may be, please feel free to follow me on my Twitter. I'm super active on there now. I've had my Twitter since June or July of 2008. What? But I am really getting into using it, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but we'll get into that. So I brought back the notepad to talk about what I'd like to talk about, getting it together. So, recap, and I've tried to videotape this or to film this like 3 or 4 times this week. This is crazy. But in my car, it was like too shaky or whatever. Oh well. So, the first thing is just a very, very, very quick recap. And if you don't know what Ozempic is, or Sandexa, I think it's called, or Mygovy, look it up. To the best of my knowledge, it is a liquid in which it's not quite. Is it not? I wish you could answer, because you guys probably know better than I do. Insulin, some sort of insulin or glucose, something like that. Is given to people with diabetes, and what they found is that it suppresses or curbs appetite, and has been incredibly successful clinically in weight reduction, weight loss. And with use, that continued use, it is incredibly effective long term. So it's Mygovy specifically, which is the brand that I was prescribed and approved for, is the first version of this injectable, or whatever we want to call them, that has been FDA approved, so it's good to go for that specific purpose. So we remember I was prescribed it, Mygovy, from my primary care physician in mid or late October. Didn't have it. If you went on the website, we're out of the 0.25, because they come in like 4 sizes of amount of liquid that you will inject, and you start off on the smallest. So they had, during COVID, or the beginning of last year, the entire company, I went through the gamut, so I know what's going on now. They went through and they halted production on the lowest 2 0.25 and 0.5 milligrams of the product, so it wasn't there, and they did that so that people wouldn't start it. But anyway, so I would call my doctor, or my CVS in my Target that I use for my medication. I call them every other week, just to see where it is. No, we don't have enough. I called December 31st, like October 15th to December 31st. I said, I got a pre-authorization, and I really would like, I don't want something to happen so where my insurance is like, well, you didn't use it in 2022. And that's not the thing, right? So she did the computer search, and miraculously, a brick and mortar CVS store had it in a different town. So popped over. The price of the Mygovy comes in a box of 4, so 1 injection per week. It was either $1,600 or $1,800 was the retail, or the cash pay price, which outside of America isn't a thing, right? And thank goodness for that prior authorization, because I paid $24, which my cheapness, I'm like, $24, that's crazy. I'm very lucky. I'm incredibly lucky to have that. And the frustration comes in with, I had been denied Sandexa, I had been denied Ozempic, and I mean, again, I'm not a doctor, but they're very similar products. Like the dosing is different, but they're the exact same liquid inside. So what I found frustrating is that advocacy-wise, it's people who would really benefit from this, this great product, or what seems to be like a really great product, are not getting what they need in order to be successful, because they're not being approved for it, because it's still newish. I remember when I was first denied, before I was approved, I went to the website, and a lot of medications will have the patient reimbursement program or whatever, like some sort of copay card or something like that. They have it, but your insurance has to cover it, and then they just may not cover the full price of it, which to me is very silly, because if it is covered, then it should be covered. But again, I'm not an insurance person either. So if you are denied the prior authorization, then you can't benefit from the patient advocacy reduction card. It is nonsense to me. I think it is the silliest thing ever. It's very frustrating. The people there are very nice. I called Big Pharma to be like, when can I start this? But anyway, I used Ozempic for a few weeks. I looked at there's a smart home brand called Wise, and we have a bunch of their products, so many of their products. But the scale's nice because it measures like body mass, body fat, etc., etc. But my high weight from that I'm essentially had started from in October was 278.3 pounds, which is right up where I was prior to my Roux-en-Y gastric bypass. And I forgot what the lap band thing was too. It's been so long. So that was a sign to me, like, here I am again. But today, January 14th, 2023, I am 262.4. And I want to stress that is great because, well, it's great because it's a loss. And prior, I continued to steadily gain or increase weight. What I found most interesting and most like awesome is, yes, I am an example of, if you go back to old habits, or you go back to bad habits, or you go back to these things that didn't work before, even bypass is not going to, it's not going to help. You can still self-sabotage. Tools are tools. They are not fixes. And that is a huge difference that I know you guys are aware of. So there's that piece of it, right? My doctor had said, when we're trying, yes, you're going to make better choices. Just continue to live your life. Don't try anything special or new or crazy. Just keep living your life. Let it do what it does. And I wrote it down how I need to say. Oh, so I truly, like, there's so many people out there that don't think that obesity is a disease. I don't even care, because that's so outlandish to me. To show that obesity is a disease, my brain tells me, like, in my lizard brain, eat as much as you can, go past full. You're always hungry. I'm always thinking about food. Like, neurologically, I am guided in that exact direction, period, end of story. It's very interesting, but also I hate it. And this has made me feel, I was able to eat like a quarter of a salad the other day, and it wasn't my pouch, it was me making that decision. So it's dulling. I don't know what it's dulling, but I feel like it's dulling sensors or something, because my, like, you're hungry, like, get food in there, fella. Those sensors, maybe they're just beating the crap out of those sensors so that I can make a legitimate decision for myself. Could I eat more? Yes. Should I? I don't know. I'm going to hold off, or whatever it may be. And that is the only other time I've experienced that is when I had first started Topiramate or Topamax, whatever you want to call it. And so it's been very promising thus far. And this is, again, at the smallest dose. You need to, looking at how people do long-term on Wegovy or Sindexo, Ozempic, stopping using it will bring back it'll bring back your eating tendencies, whatever they were prior. So that's something to be courteous about. But in learning, it's easier to learn the routine of, I don't have to eat this whole thing. I don't even want to take it home. I'm fine. It's giving me the opportunity to make those choices. My brain and its overpowering of the rest of my body isn't getting in the way of making good choices. So that's great. I will see kind of what happens next. I have a doctor's appointment on the 19th, so I will get back to you about like moving up in dosage. And the thing I'm so excited about is when I was in my heyday, in 2020, because the scale goes from 2018 to now. It tracks everything, and it's like I was 198. Oh, you guys, I was 198. I had energy, natural energy. I was not fatigued. My bones didn't hurt. It is so exhausting being big, being an obese person or, a heavy person. It's exhausting on your body, and we know that. What is it for every extra pound or whatever? It's like 4 pounds on your joints. It's regardless. At like 250 pounds, I always know I'm there because my body starts to creak and like hurt when I'm walking, like on my hips specifically, and demoralizing. It's embarrassing. It is. I can imagine what people think. Not that that's anybody's business, nor do I care, because it's about me, for me. But it's not fun. First of all, it's not fun being big. But it's more physical work to exert energy, or your movement as a big person. So it's like everything is working against you. I'm in my work office downstairs right now, and our bedroom is 2 floors up, and sometimes I think I don't want to walk all the way up those stairs. I'm exhausted by the time I get up there. So I'm very excited for that energy piece. I'm 34, so I've never been. This is my first time being 34, so I've still got a lot of years where I can have energy, and I'm excited for that. So so many of you have talked about your experiences and how you're continuing to move forward, because there's this honeymoon period, this wonderful time after your bypass or whatever your intervention you're having. It's like, oh, life keeps going, which is great. That's what we want it to do. But here we are. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to cut real quick, and then I'm going to come back for Mitchell's moment, or whatever I'm going to call it. But thank you for tuning in for this piece, and I will be right back. Okay, so I just moved my little tripod thing over a little bit so I can talk to you over here, relaxing, because I want to be lazy. But so this is the first Mitchell's moment, or Mitchell's monologue. I love alliteration. But, our worlds continue to move after weight loss surgery. We continue to learn more about ourselves. We're able to take that focus off of food or the negative impacts that both ourselves and society puts on us, and we can put that into other things, which is like freaking amazing, right? It's a very unique experience to be able to kind of start focusing on other things. So I like to talk about all sorts of things, as you guys know. Even when I have a list of things I want to talk about, I'm all over the map, right? And for better or for worse, my husband married me, so there are 2 things I want to talk about today, and they're both education related. In that, most of you know, and if you don't, I am an early childhood special education teacher. I work in public schools, and I myself am an advocate of public schools, which, to be an advocate of something, you have to also be an advocate of it being done correctly or it being vetted correctly. Does that make sense? I hope so. And I don't want to frustrate anybody or ruffle feathers. I'm not a fan of charter schools. I am vehemently against vouchers. I think my personal platform is that if we appropriately fund based on the appropriate algorithms, if we publicly fund our public schools while allowing ourselves to make sure that the schools are working for families, it's the best. It is not only going to allow students to succeed, but they're going to thrive in a community setting and then be productive members of society. Blah, blah, blah. Not blah, blah, blah. But that's kind of where my head is at. So the first thing that I'm really getting into is the advocacy for public schools. And I always think of Little Kansas Kitty because on my Twitter, which my handle is at NRWY, like Norway, NRWY 1988. I'll put it in the link. And then 1 second. Okay, sorry, I'm back. My husband came down. Sorry. So that was my Twitter handle, I think I just talked about. But the state of education is unique. And there are so many great things happening. That's something I really, and as a public school teacher that sees it every day, there are some really amazing, so amazing things happening. And for those of you who have kids, school-age kids, you know this. You've seen incredible things. I don't care where they're at. This creative beauty that every kiddo has and every human has in their capacity for taking information in, it's there. There are a lot of things that I don't agree with, right? And so, oh yes, I remember now. So really, I am following a lot of people, ironically, from Missouri, and I am not from Missouri, I'm from Minnesota, but looking at these two states, and I really should do like a comparison video. We're very lucky here in Minnesota, politically, in my opinion. So this is just me. So please don't think that I'm being disrespectful to other political parties, but we have, as a Democrat, we have the governor's office, the Senate, and the House now after November. So we're able to pass really historic educational funding. Our governor was a prior high school teacher, so he's floated a lot. We're doing some really great things, I believe. So that feels great, right? But then I see there's a really great, the public school advocacy sphere, Twitter sphere, is really cool. There's one specific account I follow, Piper for Missouri. It's these rural teachers, rural schools, and rural communities in diverse neighborhoods from that a lot of times are, and I'm trying to choose my words here, that I believe are contacted or preyed upon to go to these, vouchers, charters, etc. And there are arguments that are valid. If there's not a public school there, if there are no schools that are doing the right thing, being, like I said, being a public school advocate means being a public school advocate and making sure that schools are doing their job. You cannot force somebody into doing something and then say, well, you have to deal with it like this. Like, the cool thing is, regardless of the narrative we see in the media, every day teachers are out there and they are saying, how can I do better? How can I learn more? How can I serve my students and community more? There are amazing educators out there. So that's one thing, and I will probably talk about this a lot because it's very interesting to me. But the second thing I want to talk about is, again, why Minnesota is great. We had a 17-point-something billion-dollar surplus in the last fiscal season or year or whatever, which made a lot of people frustrated or mad or whatever. But using that money the governor is requesting to use the money to put back into Minnesota and Minnesotans through a variety of initiatives and projects, of course, roads and potholes, which are the state flower, I think, getting that taken care of, right? Something that I've advocated for and that I didn't know, Twitter's a hell of a place, right? I don't know so many people were against it, but every student having the ability to have free lunch. and breakfast. I do not believe, this is me, I do not believe that while parents who send their kids with lunch are still going to send their kids with lunch, right? If one Minnesotan child, or whatever state we're at, but in one Minnesotan child who is hungry gets to eat, that is absolutely worth it to me. We have the ability, we have the architecture, we have the financial ability to fully fund, so we do not have to A, put people in debt because of their lunches, and B, not be pointed out as different. Schools everywhere across the country, you know who they're not allowed to have regular lunch. They have to have a grilled cheese sandwich or a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Kids know, right? Kids are smart. So there's bias and there is systemic problems with that, right? And, you know, I know people say, well, the real world is tough. Also, kindergartners all the way up, you know, well and down, little, even tiny little ones, they are not out there working. It is our responsibility to make sure that they are ready to learn. And when you have a full tummy, you can learn better. And what is funny to me is that's how we got kids to go to school when we first started the American education system. Come in, the teacher, which back in the day, the teachers lit the fires, they cooked the lunches. Whoa. At that point, we will feed your child, we will feed them if you send them to school. Greatest thing in the world. So we are 100%. I really want to see that get pushed through. I know they introduced it this week, and of course on Twitter, I advocate. You know, I like reading all the different accounts, and it was so disheartening to me to see people saying, if your parents can't do it, you shouldn't be. The willingness for people to punish children because of an inability to pay for certain, it's mind-boggling. That's where we are right now. Bringing it back to Missouri, remember I said that Missouri was on my mind in that my Twitter sphere is there. In Minnesota, we have a lot of good things going on right now, so there's not a lot of like news. Look up Missouri, not just education, but education in their capital. I cannot remember. Is it Springfield? Yes, I think it's Springfield. I believe Missouri's the state that this last week had debates about women having to wear jackets so they don't tempt men, or it's nonsense. So that's definitely one thing. I'm gonna pop off of this because I want to end. I want to read you something that I really love. Sorry about that. You're in another location. I'm at my desk on the other side of the room. I saw this the other day, and I love teachers. I am a teacher, and if someday I'm a quarter as good as the teachers out there, I'll be the best teacher ever. So I'm gonna read this to you. It was a Facebook status by an author. So she says, I signed for a package last week. The delivery guy says, "Di Camillo?" I said, "Yes." "Wait," he said, "did you write Because of Winn-Dixie?" "I did." "Oh, wow," he said. "My third grade teacher read that book to us. I'll never forget it." And then he smiled at me, this radiant, beautiful smile, and I suddenly saw him as an 8-year-old kid sitting in class, listening to a story. That man's third grade teacher is out there somewhere, and I wanted to let her know this. He remembers. He remembers you reading to him. Happy New Year. I can read it 100 times, and it brings me the warm and fuzzies, because teachers are just freaking awesome. They're magic, and we can only be magic when our communities are behind us. And I'm so thankful for the work that the parents of all of our students are putting into. So I wanted to leave you with that. Let's talk soon. And if nobody told you that they loved you today, remember I do, and I always will. Have a great day.